Let's get into it now. A spoiler-free movie review talking about Self-Reliance, which is on Hulu. Survive 30 days while being hunted, win $1 million. That is the premise of this movie. Now that tagline is so slick and so smooth. Great elevator pitch for this movie, but sometimes that worries me. When a movie has that great of a tagline where you can explain the entire thing in one sentence, I think it's going to have a hard time delivering because it's so focused in on that premise. But in this case, this movie delivered. It is written, directed, and co-produced by Jake Johnson, who you probably know best from New Girl. I never watched that show. People have recommended it to me, but it's one of those shows that I've just not went back and watched. I really know Jake Johnson more for his film roles. Let's Be Cops with Damon Wayans Jr., who was also his New Girl co-star. He was great in Safety Not Guaranteed. Also a movie called Drinking Buddies. But what I really know him for and what I would pick out while watching this movie, he's Peter B. Parker in Into and Across the Spider-Verse. So when I see him on screen and hear his voice, I associate it with that role. And sometimes also when an actor directs and stars in a movie, I'm also a little bit hesitant of it. So two things that I'm always worried about: this movie had a really great tagline because I feel like that's compensating for something later down the end. And then you have somebody directing and starring in the movie, but this movie delivered. And what I really enjoyed about it is it gets right to the action. This movie is 90 minutes long and wastes no time. You get just a little background on his character as far as who he is as a person. You get a glimpse into his life, and then right away, this premise is thrown upon him. He meets Andy Samberg, who plays himself in this movie, takes him to a warehouse, and you have these two guys who give him this choice. Hey, you want to play this game? If you survive for 30 days, you win $1 million. There are people who will be hunting him, and the only rule is they can't kill him if he's with somebody else. You get right into him playing the game, and then all the crazy things that he has to do to try and stay alive and win the money. I also love movies that give you a question like this and make you think what you would do. And the entire time I was watching this movie, I had to go back and think, like, what I actually played the game, try and survive for 30 days and win $1 million. When I really think about it, I think $1 million isn't enough to do this. You can blow through $1 million pretty quickly. I would need at least $10 million to even consider it. $1 million, you could win that on a scratch off down the street, playing the lottery. For something like this, where the consequences are you dying, I need more than $1 million, because I think for me, I could really play off of that loophole pretty easily. Being somebody who is married, this past week, my wife and I have been snowed in for so long. We have spent an entire week together where we really haven't been separated that much. So you throw in maybe going to the bathroom and showering together, and there you go. I could easily make it through a week. So they probably wouldn't find married people to play this game. That'd be a little less entertaining. But I definitely think I could do that aspect of it. I would just want more money to put my life on the line. But I think that's what a great movie does. It asks a question. It starts debate. It makes you want to share this movie with other people and think what they would do in these situations. And the movie does it so effortlessly. It is just a fun, entertaining ride from start to finish. And this is one of the only movies that I didn't have completely figured out by the time the second act started, because I would consider this movie a thriller. It's a very light thriller, and I wouldn't call it a full-on comedy. It has a lot of funny parts. The character interactions are great. The entire cast is superb in this movie. It really walks the line between both of those things, and for me, it worked really well. So for me, it was really refreshing to watch a movie that was not predictable and kept me guessing until the very end and kept me engaged and entertained through the very end. Also, you have to think about, it's a streaming movie. And even me, when I try to be as dialed in as I can while watching a movie at home, sometimes you just get a little bit distracted. If ever there's a lull in a movie, you want to look at something else. Your phone is right there. You don't really have the same restrictions that you do while in a movie theater, where my attention is 100% on what I'm watching. So I feel like sometimes streaming movies have to be so much better just to keep my attention and keep me fully engaged. And this movie did that, which I found that if I had gone to see this movie in theaters, I probably would have loved it even more. And like I said, the movie has a great cast. Anna Kendrick is a supporting role in this movie. And I don't know how Anna Kendrick does it, but any role she has, she is just incredibly charming. She could play the exact same character in every single movie, every single TV show, and I would love it. It's just something about her essence, something about the way she delivers lines, something about her interactions. It's just so great for a movie like this. If there was one thing I wanted more out of it, is for her character to have more scenes. And I still stand by this, that Hulu has the best movies out of any streamer, and I'm talking about original movies. If you just go on Hulu and search through their Hulu originals, you will find something new and refreshing that's not connected to any franchise, that's not really banking on the stars in the movie. It is just great entertainment and movies that are really pushing the envelope, or at least trying to bring a different perspective to a type of story. This movie did that, and a lot of the recent movies I've really enjoyed on streamers have all been from Hulu. So if I had to go to one streamer to pick original content, my go-to is still Hulu. Now, they specialize a lot in comedies, dark comedies, and a little bit on the horror side, but I really think they own that so well, to the point that that's what I identify Hulu with, of just having great original movies. And if something is on there, I'm going to click it and I'm going to watch it and probably enjoy it. Now, if I'm looking for big stars and movies that really resemble what it's like going to the theater to watch a movie, that level of Hollywood film, I'm going over to Netflix. But I feel like those are fewer and far between. And sometimes they just really get behind promoting something, like with Kevin Hart, that's just all out terrible. And they're just banking on the fact that they have A-list stars, and they're saying this has been the most watched movie since the history of the streamer. That means nothing to me. Every now and then, Netflix will have a hit or like a hidden gem in there, but I just don't really rely on them to go and watch good movies. Max, I really only go to for anything that's Warner Brothers or DC. They really kind of got out of the original movie game. They did it a lot early on in the pandemic, and then since then, Max originals have really gone out the window. I don't really look to them to watch a whole lot of new movies. It's really just all the things that were in theaters, and then they go there eventually. And then I go over to Apple if I want to watch something really high quality, also with an A-list star. But that's still a little bit kind of like the boutique streaming service. They don't have a whole lot over there, but I feel like it's more on the drama side, and they've kind of dipped their toes a little bit in action and comedy. I feel like in the next 2 to 3 years, Apple could be up there with Hulu, but right now it's like third on the list of what I go to. And then Amazon, Paramount, and Peacock are all kind of grab bag. But Hulu is still my number one, and this movie just solidified that for me. I also love that for me, it really elevated Jake Johnson in my list of actors that I just enjoy anything that they are in, and now want to see more of what he is going to direct. Because as a leading actor, he did a really great job, and I feel like he put a lot of himself into this character. This was a movie that he first pitched to Netflix back in 2017 after he wrote it. He described that early script as Jacob's Ladder meets Bottle Rocket, which Bottle Rocket is one of my favorite Wes Anderson movies. Definitely got some Bottle Rocket vibe and kind of that 90s independent feel to this. And the crazy thing is that this movie was shot in 19 days, less than 3 weeks. And as I was saying earlier, the movie wastes no time. It has really great pacing throughout the entire film. Quick 90 minutes. So maybe that 19-day filming schedule really added to that pacing of, we don't have a whole lot of time. We got to go in, shoot, get what we need, and then cut it up in the end. And it came out wonderfully. And finally, because going into this film, the only thing I did was watch the trailer. I really didn't know anything else about what was going to happen. And I didn't really have the highest expectations of it. And I think that is the reason I ended up enjoying it even more, because I didn't expect it to feel so novel and so fresh. So for Self-Reliance, I give it 4 out of 5 missing teeth.